Magnus Carlsen with the black pieces taking on Alireza, and they go for the idea that we were discussing earlier. I want to say a king's pawn opening, but in this case, a queen's pawn opening.
Yes, e4, e5. Well, if we are talking about Alireza and Magnus, e4, e5 is very much in. Yeah, also in the classical portion. And now it's very intriguing. We do see the evolution bar suddenly after e4, e5 claiming that white has some advantage. I'm not sure if that's really true. But first of all, the players don't have access to computers, so they have no idea whether after e4, e5 white has any chances. We have been trying out some things. Yeah, I was following, I believe, with knight f3. Then we had this discussion that after knight f6, and look at this, already the level bar, no, okay, is moving back and forth. One thing I would like to mention, what happens if white plays the Scotch and white goes d4? And if e takes d4, then white plays e5, for example, a very aggressive treatment, and it's kind of also a big question, does black capture on d4 after d4, for example? Tanya, what is your take if white is so aggressive?
It's so strange to have these queen on e1 and e8 and to get your idea, your head around the fact that the kings are not in their initial position, but it's the queens, so the pawn on e4 is defended. I would be also tempted to try to keep that e5 pawn under defense. I would want to make the move d6, but the problem with that, and I want to highlight this, is, Peter, so easy to forget that bishop on a1 in these positions. White can perhaps take on e5. You want to start directly with b3, but I'm also thinking about the idea of just capture on e5, fix that pawn on e5, and white's the one that strikes first with the move b3, opening up that bishop on a1, and black's got early troubles to handle.
Yes, exactly. This was one of the main worries that I had when I looked at the position. Yeah, that what happens if suddenly white will be the one striking first on the e5 pawn, which already brings me to the question, like after e4, e5, knight f3, maybe black should not even play the move knight f6. Maybe he has to do something else. Maybe opening up the bishop first with b6s, and knight f3, no, it's not yet on the board.
That's a long think by Alireza. He's really taking his time to understand. I'm just wondering if there are these other ideas in the position. Speaking of concepts of the king's pawn opening in standard chess, this square is occupied by the bishop in chess, which is why very often when white or black makes the move d3 or d4, you open up the diagonal to strike on the dark squares. I'm just thinking, can white ever dream of either to place the knight on e2, and Peter, don't be too mad at me, or h3, and the point is that I want to go shock castle and strike immediately with the move f4. The difference I see in this is that there's no black bishop here. Knight h3 is, I know it goes against your principles completely, Peter, and you're probably saying, what is Tanya even talking about here? But I'm just wondering if this is a concept that perhaps Alireza can be thinking about at all on the radar?
Well, knight h3 is very much in the king's gambit spirit, right?
Yes.
Because, yeah, knight h3, you're going to go short castle and then strike with a very quick f2, f4. And I'm really loving it, and I think that every single minute is very well invested. Okay, he goes for b4, also opening up the bishop. Yeah, you can highlight it.
Yes, Peter, the bishop opens up, so a big threat on the board right now. Not only opening up the bishop, I just want to point out something to think about later on. We might be seeing a potential rook lift in the middle game, Peter, and transferring all the way to the king side.
Well, knowing how aggressive Alireza is, I wouldn't be ruling out. And I somehow feel that this, yeah, e4, e5, this whole position, yeah, when we had it, that Nicholas also mentioned, we talked about it, that it looks so natural, and it looks natural from the white side. We have tons of ideas, but black needs to somehow find the way to neutralize white's initiative. That's the main task, and it will be a very big challenge.
All right, well, this position, again, really interesting start. Nicholas, what are your thoughts on the opening action that we're seeing? And we were talking about moves on the king side. Alireza with a completely different approach. He starts with b4, but an idea that was on our radar.
Yes, it was just a matter of which move to play first. And Tanya, you'll be very happy to hear that your idea of knight h3 or now knight h6 is the preferred choice by the engine. And that is so against our common chess understanding to put a knight on the rim. There's even the saying, a knight on the rim is dim. But in this case, to support this potential push f5, or also to avoid running into a potential f4 later on, maybe even already here, it would be possible, and to further increase the pressure on this pawn e5. And if black takes on f4, white simply goes d3. White will win back this pawn sooner or later, and most importantly, this bishop is so powerful on this diagonal, unopposed over the whole board, pointing towards the black king, and, well, already black is in some trouble here, suggesting now h6. Let's just make some normal moves like d6, or, well, d6, knight ce2, knight c, let's just say castle, something like this. And we see white regains the pawn, knight f3, castle next, have the rook lined up on the half-open f-file, and the white advantage is increasing. So after b4, Carlsen keeps mirroring with b5, and now once again knight h3 is quite a good move to develop the knight to h3, supporting the f4 push and opening up this bishop, because this bishop can be really a powerful minor piece in this position.
b5 by
and it's not clear at all. Rook g3, Magnus will be blitzing out his moves.
But Peter, I think actually for Alireza, the thought that Magnus could get g6 in on the next one, it's a scary option because suddenly your king might be checkmated.
Of course, no, king f5, but that's why I thought like rook takes this and is insane, yeah, because you are going into this king f5 craziness adventure when you had this easy win, technical win with h4 in a time trouble.
Guys, 40 seconds for Magnus.
Wow.
Yeah, but okay, he's very happy.
But he still has to make 5 moves.
Okay, I had sometimes 6 seconds for 5
This
moves
was a bad move.
Yeah, rook g1 is a panic move.
And Nicholas, what is the problem? Show us really quickly what's happening here. Alireza is about to make a move.
Rook c6, only way to win. Rook c6, only way to win.
He's
playing
reaching
it.
out.
Yes.
He's playing it. Rook c6. And then rook g6. Rook g6, and all the pawns are falling. White is up 1,000 pawns and is winning.
Wow, so he might have calculated it all. He had this 139 heart rate.
I have 139 heart rate too.
Yes, seeing all this action.
And he resigns.
Resigns, wow.
Alireza Firouzja wins against the world #1. Magnus Carlsen goes down with the black pieces. What a start it has been to the knockout format. The world #1 goes down. The world champion goes down. Peter, few could have predicted these outcomes.
Well, but also like Nicholas said, it's kind of the logical outcome of the round-robin tournament. Yes, so far the players